From testimonials and personal experience, we have enough information to conclude that it's possible to design and live an extraordinary life. I hope you will give that little phrase some consideration, and here's what's next. I hope you buy the idea that from testimonials and personal experience, we have enough information to conclude that it's possible to design and live an extraordinary life. And what I want this weekend to be for you is the gathering of more ways and means to design and live for you an extraordinary life. I don't know how far you want to go. Here's the first essence of life, and that is self-preservation, to produce enough to take care of yourself. The instructions given right to the couple that left the Garden of Eden. One was to multiply. It's a lonely place with only 2 people. But here were the next instructions: to be fruitful. How fruitful, how productive should one be? And here's number 1, to produce enough to survive. To produce enough to take care of yourself. And self-care is important. If you're flying on an airplane, the flight attendant says if for some reason we run out of oxygen, these oxygen masks will fall from the ceiling, and if you have children with you, quickly take care of them, then take care of yourself. No. 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 They say what? Put your mask on first. Put your mask on first. See to your survival first. Then you'll be more capable of taking care of the survival of your children. Isn't that interesting? My father had an interesting saying. He said, "Son, right after me, you come first." I thought, wow, that's okay. I was in business with Bob Cummings, the old movie star. We were in the health and nutrition business together back in the 60s, 61, 2, 3. Bob had an interesting saying. Here's what he said: "I'll take care of me for you. Will you please take care of you for me?" So the first challenge in life is to take care of yourself. It is to survive. So to produce enough to survive, to take care of yourself. But now what's next? Well, all alone, it's a lonely life. So let's say the man now chooses a partner. Now he must figure out how to produce enough for himself and his spouse, his wife, his partner. Someone says, well, why do that? Why not just take care of yourself? And the answer is, it's a very small life. It's a very limited life. We wouldn't call it flourishing. We wouldn't call it abundant, just taking care of yourself. That is the first rule, but that's only the beginning. So the man gets married. Now he must produce enough for himself and for his wife. And here's the key phrase to make a note of: to live the higher life, a life of togetherness. The storyteller says, it seems even God didn't want to be alone. He created all of these angels. Right? So, to join with someone, now you must produce enough for yourself, for your partner. Now, is that it? And the answer is no. How about children? Let us have children. That's a unique experience. So now if the man has a wife and now he has children, here's the challenge: to produce enough for himself and his family. Now someone says, well, why take on all of that? Why not just take care of yourself? You could, yes, but you couldn't live this more extraordinary life without taking on the responsibility of having a partner, having some children, and live that kind of extraordinary life. So I think everybody would agree. Now, is that the end of it? No. Here's the next challenge: to produce more than you need for yourself and for your family. Someone says, well, now why start being ridiculous here? Yes, produce enough for yourself. Well, yes, if you want to get married, produce enough for yourself and for your spouse. Now, with children, produce enough for your family, but why do more than that? And jot down the answer: to live a more extraordinary life. So now the man produces more than he needs for himself and for his children, so that he can be a person of benevolence, so that he can give and so that he can share. That's the more abundant, that's the more extraordinary life. To produce more than you need for yourself and for your children. Is that it? Let's take it a couple of more steps. How about producing much more than you need for yourself and for your family? Someone says, well, now you're off the scale. I mean, why work that hard? Why go that far? Why produce that much? Some would say, just take care of yourself. Some would say, just, get a partner and that's it, and then children and that's it. And be a bit benevolent and that's it. But why not go this next step and produce much more than you need for yourself and for your children? And when someone says, why do that? All of us know the answer, right? Why not? If you've got the talent and the skill and the opportunity, why not put all of that together and see if you couldn't produce much more than you need for yourself and for your family? Let's say you earned $10 million this year, and you and your family only need $3 million. Which would probably cover most families, right? Some families are more expensive than others, as I discovered. But let's say 3 million would, cover a big, high percentage. So now if you and your family only needed 3 million for the year, now you have 7 million to give. And someone says what? Why do that? And the obvious answer is what? Why not? If you've got the talent and the skill and the time and the opportunity and the occasion and all this stuff comes together, why not? Let's go one more. How about producing far more than you need for yourself and for your family? And live the far more life. We've heard the story of Andrew Carnegie, right? Andrew Carnegie said this. He built the big steel industry back in the 20s here in America. Here was Andrew Carnegie's goal. I'm going to spend the first half of my life earning money. I'm going to spend the last half of my life giving it all away. Isn't that extraordinary? Wouldn't you call that an extraordinary life? And the answer is yes. He got so excited by that goal that the first half of his life, he earned $400 million, which back then was a lot of money. I mean, now, right, it doesn't seem to be that much, but, maybe back then it would total $40 billion, like Bill Gates. So $40 billion he earned the first half of his life. Guess what he did with the last half of his life? He gave it all away. And the big question is, why do that? And the answer is, why not? If you've got the opportunity to design and live an extraordinary life, why not do that? So here's what I want this weekend to be for you. Plenty of ideas to take home, chew on, digest, throw some away, refine some, accept some, do some, whatever. That's what this weekend is really for. To send you home with a whole new library of thoughts to ponder, ideas to try, disciplines to work out, some skills to learn. And if we do that and do it well this weekend, you will say, hey, it was certainly worth the time and the money to go to that weekend Jim Rohn seminar, Jim Rohn and Friends. Now make these notes. What I hope you find here this weekend: ideas plus inspiration That's the mixture that really turns things on, sends a entrepreneur program into high gear. Ideas plus inspiration. We need ideas for the goals and plans, and we need inspiration for the emotional vitality to put it to work, to make it grow, make it multiply. And here's what else I hope you'll find here. Guidelines for translating response into results. You've responded to the call, come, search, look, listen, take notes, get it, to take home with you. And I'm sure you're going to respond well to the, seasoned teaching and training that is going to be delivered here this weekend. But here's the key: guidelines for translating response into results. Because results is the name of the game. There's no purpose in learning just for learning's sake. Wisdom and faith, as powerful as those components are, serve no useful purpose unless they are deposited. So make a note of the word, deposited. Wisdom and faith deposited into activity. Wisdom and faith put to work now produces a hotel, produces a Salk vaccine, produces a city, produces an institution of learning, produces a career, produces a relationship, right? Ideas and faith, believing that it's possible, that ideas can work miracles, now put to work. So the big job here is getting it all. And so now make the next note. Next is going home and translating it into high activity, good health activity, a better relationship activity, an entrepreneur program activity, a new burst of speed in your sales career, all of that. That's what I'm really interested in. Because here's what's important to me, is for my name once in a while to appear in someone's testimonial. Make that note. It's one of life's greatest experiences, is when your name appears in somebody's testimonial. Somebody says, here's the person who found me. Here's the person who got me started. Here's the person who wouldn't let me quit. Gave me more reasons for staying than for leaving. Here's the person who believed in me until I could believe in myself. And then they mention your name. See, you can't buy that with money. And you don't have to give lectures and seminars to do it. You don't have to have an audience like this for the weekend in order to deliver value to someone's life. What if you had breakfast with a friend at Denny's 4 years ago, and you recommended this book that really meant a lot to you, and you said to your friend, you've got to read this book. I think it'll make a major contribution to your life. And your friend accepted the idea, went and got the book. Now, 4 years later, he's giving his testimonial. His business has flourished, his marriage is safe, things are going extremely well, and someone says, where did this all begin for you? And he will say, 4 years ago at Denny's coffee shop, I sat with my friend and he insisted that I read this book. I went and got it. And that book led to the next book, that led to the next class, that led to developing skills I never had before, and that led to some more seminars and lectures. And now look at my business, look at my life, it's flourishing. But it all began 4 years ago. Denny's coffee shop, when someone said, you've got to read this book. See, that's a person-to-person seminar. And those are just as valuable as person to 1,000, person to 10,000. Right? It doesn't matter the number. If you have a chance to deliver, quote a poem, recommend a book, here's a phrase, like I gave you this one to memorize. I think you'll remember this one maybe for a long, long time. Just something that's really extra meaningful to someone, whether it's at breakfast or wherever it is, whether it's for a child or whether it's for an adult, a friend, a business associate. If you'll keep up that process, I promise you, your name will continually appear in people's testimonials. And now I've had this happy experience now for the last 40, 45 years. And so that's one of the reasons why I came here this weekend, right? I don't need the money. You know, I've long ago made my fortune. I take the money, but I don't need the money. But here's what I do need. Continuing testimonials that say, Mr. Rohn, on a summer day in Anaheim, California at the Marriott, I was there that weekend, and something clicked, and the lights went on, and I got the gift of some good ideas. Here's what's happened to me. Then they mention my name. See, that's what I want. Continuing testimonials that come back to me saying thanks for sharing ideas. Okay. To get the most out of this weekend, jot these notes down now. Number one, be thankful for what you already have. Thanksgiving sets up, you know, the situation where ideas can flow. Here's what locks up the doors of opportunity for good ideas, and that's cynicism. All you have to be is a practiced cynic. Cynical about the government, and cynical about politics, and cynical about the future, and cynical about the economy. Cynicism locks all the doors. But if you'll be thankful for what you have, however modest or however much it is, I think that's the beginning of receiving a flow of new ideas. Here's the next one. Be eager to learn. There's already some extraordinary success stories in this room. If we knew how successful, we would give you the podium. I would be happy to take notes. No matter how successful you are, be willing to learn some more. We in the Millionaires Club invite a billionaire once in a while to come talk to us. And he says, well, you guys are doing okay, but, you know, how about stepping up, right? How about multiplying by 2, by 3, by 5, by 10? Come on, you've just gotten started. So no matter how well you're doing, we could all use another idea, a couple of other things that linked together with what you already know could give you a whole new burst of productivity and extraordinary lifestyle. Then to get the most out of this session this weekend, you have to do what we call some tough listening. And sometimes it's difficult to gather up everyone's, attention, because our lives really seem to be going on outside this room. A part of our life is going on here while we're here. But some of us, our kids are out there, and our business is out there, and our career is out there, and our job is out there, and everything is out there. So sometimes it's difficult to bring yourself within the, framework, inside these four walls, and just really concentrate and do your best to get it all. Because I know how meaningful ideas can be. The name Earl Schoaf, still rings in my mind. I'm 25 years old. After the Girl Scout story experience, I'm introduced to a man who I had a chance to go to work for, and over the next 5 years, the ideas he shared with me not only made me rich, but gave me the foundation for a long-term career of sharing ideas, building business, making profits, hopefully wise investments, made an extraordinary contribution to my life. This unique man, he only went to the 9th grade in school. So the things he shared with me over that 5-year period were very simple, very ABC. But that's where I got all of those simple phrases. Let me just review some of them for you very quickly. For things to change for you, you have to change. I kept hoping the government would change, and taxes would change, and prices would come down, and things would get better. And then he said, for things to change for you, Mr. Rohn, you have to change. Wow, what a new revelation. Next, he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. All of this started me on this unique journey of what I now call personal development. Here's another one. This is, don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. It's not less problems that makes you successful, it's more skills that makes you successful. I tried to convince him by showing him my paycheck that I wasn't doing well, and I blamed it on the company. And I said, this is all the company pays. He said, no, that's all the company pays you. I thought, well, that's a new way to look at it. He says, doesn't the company pay some people 3, 4, 5 times this amount? And I said, well, yes. He says, well, then this is not all the company pays. This is all you get. until you requalify, accelerate your qualification for the bigger numbers. See, that was all great revelation to me. I tried to convince him that things cost too much. He said, no, you can't afford them. All of these were new ways of looking at things. Unbelievable. And so I started listening to all this stuff. Now, some of the things that really accelerated my learning curve so that I could do better quickly was learning the success equations. Here's 3 of them. The first one comes from the Bible. The question was asked, 2,000 years ago in the Bible, according to the storyteller, what is the key to greatness? What's the key to self-esteem? What is the key to getting honors and trophies to put on the mantle above the fireplace? What is the key to receiving great respect? What is the key to wealth and abundance? What is the key to all of that, an extraordinary life? And here's the answer that was given, capsule form. According to the storyteller, the answer was, find a way to serve many people. Find a way to serve. Find the ways and means. Start rendering service. The more you serve, the greater your fortune. Service to many leads to greatness. Key. Next, John Kennedy. Speaking of politics today, we're surrounded by political speeches. Here was one of the best, John Kennedy, on his inaugural to be President of the United States all those years ago. Here's what he said, don't ask. Wow, don't we wish that was the current political philosophy? He said, don't ask what the country can do for you, but ask what? What could I do for my country? See, that's the whole turnaround in philosophical thinking. By asking, you receive so little. By serving, you receive so much. So rather than settle for the pennies of what someone could do for you, why not turn it around and find some way to serve? It's a pretty simple process. Here's what I taught the Russians. Johnny mows Mrs. Brown's lawn. She pays $3. Every time he mows her lawn, he collects $3. Thinking in terms of what could I do for my country? Surely Mrs. Brown is one of the members of the country. So he mows her lawn and collects $3 and starts what we call an income and a career. Now what's next? And here's what the Russians were excited about. What if Johnny gets Pete to mow Mrs. Brown's lawn? She still pays the $3, but now Johnny gives Pete $2 for mowing the lawn and keeps $1 because he's the one that got the work. Now we have the beginning of an entrepreneur. Now we have the beginning of fortune. Here's a good note to make. I started part-time on a little adventure, learning skills and disciplines. And here's what I began to say with my little part-time job. I said, I'm working full-time on my job and I'm working part-time on my fortune. And the reason is because I found the mechanics. I found the philosophy. I started working it, serving other people. One way to serve is to mow Mrs. Brown's lawn and get the $3. The other way to serve is to get someone else to do it and you collect that extra money. Finding ways to serve. That's the key to wealth and greatness. Then here's the next one, and everybody knows this one. I heard Zig say it over 40 years ago, Zig Ziglar. And when he said it, I wrote it down, and if you haven't ever written it down, write it down. If you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything you want. Underline the word everything. That's what was intriguing to me about this sentence. So these are the success equations. This is the wealth formula from the Bible, from John Kennedy, from Zig Ziglar.